What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, as is the case sometimes when news comes out and all at once, it's been a huge week in the Marvel rumor mill. Obviously, most of the stories revolving around Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantummania. But there's one lingering from earlier in the week we didn't get a chance to cover here at the channel, one that is meant to set up a ton going into the Kang Dynasty and even further Secret Wars, and expanding not only the supernatural, but the magical side of the MCU, and that's none other than a Strange Academy spin-off reportedly set to star Wong. Finally, Wong getting his own TV show after seemingly holding together a majority of Phase 4, and also focused on America Chavez. We're going to break down where this is being reported, what industry insiders and editorials followed up with reports of their own, where this will most likely slot if truly in development, and what it'll mean for the future of the magic world in the MCU. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway, which will coincide with the release of Ant-Man and the Wasp less than a month away again. So all you gotta do, be a sub, leave a comment, stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So a week ago, it was reported that a Strange Academy series for Disney Plus was being developed to focus on Wong and America Chavez. That prompted a follow-up article from the Cosmic Circus, an industry insider editorial fairly new on the scene, but one we've been covering here at the channel and seems to have already built up quite the track record. Now, in that article, they talked about possibilities for the series, which we're going to get into in just a second, but they also had a note from their own Alex Perez. He's an editor and writer from the site, and according to his sources, this is what he's heard about the show. Quote, Strange Academy is meant to be one of the more important tie-ins leading into the Kang Dynasty, as it will also tie into multiple aspects of the MCU aside from the supernatural. Most likely he means the magic side of the world. Now, I guess this should have been something that we saw coming and at the end of Multiverse of Madness, because when we last leave America Chavez, she's in training at Kamar-Taj, and given some of the other news we've heard recently, especially about the fast tracking of Doctor Strange 3 to also come before Kang Dynasty, this seems like the perfect opportunity to continue her story. They'll basically do this Disney Plus show as a lead up with Wong and America Chavez, leading into Doctor Strange 3, whatever that ends up being called, and then leading into Kang Dynasty, so that they can push those character stories forward, basically get them to checkpoints before they need to be entered into the bigger story. Which, before we dive into more of the checkpoints and what's going on with this show, I think it's important to note that Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars really basically started a countdown clock, meaning there are only so many TV shows and so many movies before we get to that film. And if you haven't developed character motivations, if you haven't developed the characters themselves, then it's really hard to just insert them in the last moment and expect them to be impactful. And that is the exact reason why the Russos fought so hard to keep Captain Marvel out of a majority of Avengers Endgame and kept her out of Infinity War. They were not willing to just all of a sudden get to the finish line when we're wrapping up the stories with the characters we care about from the saga before, and then drop a brand new character in last minute. Also, the reason I bring up Captain Marvel, and as it pertains to America Chavez, was, of course, Captain Marvel could have solved a lot of the problems that the Avengers had during Infinity War, not necessarily defeating Thanos, but would have been a huge help. America Chavez is going to be a huge help in the same way when you have a character like Kang, who's presumably wreaking havoc across the multiverse. America Chavez is the only character that can travel the multiverse, and as soon as she learns how to harness her power, is going to be able to do so at will. You have to imagine that is going to be instrumental in defeating Kang, and that's why having at least one more series or movie, and not just Doctor Strange 3, was going to be so important. And Doctor Strange 3 is going to have its own set of characters it needs to focus on, wrapping up the trilogy for Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, but also introducing Clea, so a movie that she could have showed up in, but that wouldn't have had enough real estate to focus on her in the way that this show reportedly will. And by setting her character up thoroughly, it's not just another Captain Marvel situation where all of a sudden she can solve the problems that they've got. I think there was always going to be another project, another full film or series that was going to focus on America Chavez's character, and it looks like this makes a lot of sense considering they're going to be able to do it at the same time they do double duty with another character that they've been putting that investment in during Phase 4, a character from the Infinity Saga in Wong, who, remember, even though on a technicality is still the Sorcerer Supreme, and part of Multiverse of Madness was meant to show that he's the Sorcerer Supreme and to stay. That title won't get passed on unless something happens happens to Wong, which I hate to say it as my major overall theory for his character arc, but he's lining up for a huge sacrifice here. They've put so much time into his character that it feels like a Wong Academy or a Strange Academy show focused on him would be sort of getting towards a conclusion. Again, this is just a theory of mine. He may have to sacrifice himself. That's how the title of Sorcerer Supreme might end up getting passed back to Stephen Strange in an ultimate culmination for his arc. Now, that is seriously just a theory, and there's obviously a lot of movies and film time left to come for Wong, Sorcerer Supreme. But as Multiverse of Madness also showed, there are a lot of sorcerers in the MCU. Of course, we thought Rintrah, the Green Minotaur, was going to get a lot more screen time than he did. He literally got 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. And while it is sort of hard for me to draw a line between where we saw Ned Leeds using a sling ring and where he's going to be whenever we get to Secret Wars, they did seed that Easter egg, and for a reason, possibly for his future as Hobgoblin, but also possibly for his future as a sorcerer of some kind. There are multiple sorcerers in the MCU. They could use this show as an opportunity to touch on some of them, maybe not in a more important way or focus, but at least so they can have them show up in Secret Wars, which leads me to my ultimate point, and I certainly hope that the MCU doesn't kill off Wong or any of the other characters as we build to Secret Wars, because one of the things that made Secret Wars the ultimate crossover event when it kicked it off in the 80s, setting a precedent for major crossovers where they were able to involve all of the characters. And I know you guys have seen the rumors and reports that Kang Dynasty will mostly focus on the characters for 616. In our own continuity, the Phase 4 heroes we're being introduced to, like Falcon, Captain America, and Shang-Chi, and then they'll move into Secret Wars where they can really focus like Multiverse of Madness and bringing back other movies heroes like Magneto, perhaps Professor X, we'll see Wolverine, etc. Even still, the more heroes the merrier, and so if they're going to take this time to introduce these characters, I hope they're all around for Secret Wars when we get that final ultimate battle. I think it may be one of the only ways that they can up Avengers Endgame. But you guys let me know your thoughts down below, your anticipation for this show, if you're happy that Wong is probably getting his own series, who you want to see introduced as far as the lesser canon of heroes and sorcerers in the MCU. I know there are several of them, especially from Doctor Strange story. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Okay, we are still giving away PlayStation 5s. The next one is right around the corner to coincide with the release of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantummania. We're literally less than a month away. So if you want to be entered to win or for any of the other future giveaways at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. All you got to do, be a subscriber, then leave a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on, and as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. Remember, when we announce winners, we only announce them live with my voice and on the channel. You'll see the comment posted, and I'll announce them at the end of the video in the segment we're doing here. So if you should happen to see any spam comments on my channel or any other channels on YouTube, they're all over the place right now. Please just report those comments. No YouTuber will ever ask you to pay for shipping or contact them on a third-party app. You get it. My name's Michael Roman. Find me in a couple of places: Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes under the name AllFires. And while I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.